Hello, Nicole here. It is 12:11 in the afternoon here in Grand Cayman, Cayman Islands. Yesterday I shared a video sharing how I was prescribed Cannimed CBD oil, and I shared my first experience with taking CBD oil, which you use in a little dropper and you place underneath your tongue. I then shared my experiences on social media, which I've done since the day that I got hit by a semi-truck at nearly 65 miles per hour with what appears to have been 4 points of impact, but I vividly remember 2. And that affected every single aspect of my life within a matter of seconds. And through that accident and through rehabilitation, I came to also learn about a genetic condition that I have called Ehlers-Danlos, and I have the hypermobility type. And that fit other pieces together from my life when reflecting back at issues that I've contended with. I received a good amount of response after sharing that video, a good amount of support. Some people offering other treatment modalities, many of which I've already experienced, and it did not bring me the type of relief that I'm seeking. I want my quality of life back. I want my life back. I've experienced chronic daily pain for 7.5 years, 6.5 of which I've taken no pain medicine for the reasons of wanting to breastfeed my children and having poor side effects from both NSAIDs and opioids. So I want to continue to share this experience in hopes that, one, I'm hoping and praying that this is going to be an answer to years of prayers for me, and 2, I continue to share my journey and allow myself to be vulnerable, even though it's still uncomfortable all these years later to let people into my life, because it's my hope that as I heal, others will continue to heal alongside me. I shared with a couple people yesterday and this morning that I know what it feels like to be in a deep pit of despair, to feel hopeless, and to feel all alone. And I remember being in that place in early 2011 after my accident, and I remember thinking, if I can get out of this place, I want to be a voice of hope for others. So to be able to share my voice and my experience, it's an answered prayer, really. And I think getting to the place where I'm finally starting to share my journey with pain, it's another way for me to let go and to not be silenced. And I think people are either embarrassed to talk about their pain, or they're afraid to share about pain because of what others might think, but who cares? I'm at the point in my journey where I just don't care, because I am thinking about myself, because until I get better and whole, I cannot fully serve others in the way that I was created to serve. So yeah, self-care is so important, and it took getting hit by a truck and going through so much pain and having to learn so many lessons the hard way for me to come to understand that I'm deserving of the love that I give to other people. So I am unashamedly going to continue to share this journey now, because I don't want to be silenced anymore, even with my pain. So last night I took the first dose around 4 p.m. yesterday, Cayman time. I ended up taking the second dose nearly at 11 p.m. and then I went to bed. And sleep is another thing that has been affected by my pain. Every single night I flip-flop back and forth because I can't stay in one position for too long before it's unbearable. So that's 7.5 years of really poor sleep, and then I'm up throughout the night. I never get a full good night's sleep, and that affects pain. And then I think back even before my accident and before I was experiencing daily pain the way I do now. Before that, I was in residency, working 80 hours a week. And before that, I was in medical school pulling all-nighters so that I could, graduate medical school and keep up with the demands that come with becoming a doctor. So really, I mean, I started medical school back in 2006. So getting a good night's sleep for me, that's going on over 12 years of not having that. And I'd like to experience that. So yeah, that's one of my goals through cannabis oil, is being able to have a good night's sleep. I would really appreciate that at this point. I'd like to do some short videos, kind of bringing people through my past medical history. I'm not going to do it all in this video. I think with each dose of the cannabis oil, I'll share a little bit more of my journey so that people can get to know more of what I've gone through, including the quality of my pain, what makes it worse, what makes it better, and my past history of treatment. I'd like to share that, but I have just a little bit of notes just because I'd like to not forget things. I shared about where my pain originated from, my near-fatal accident in December of 2010, and then through an underlying genetic condition, Ehlers-Danlos. And when I was in Michigan before we moved to Grand Cayman, I spent 7 months in bed in pain due to that trauma. And I also, when I was in Michigan, I was in a legal suit with the trucking company, and that fell in my favor. I ended up having to go through independent medical exams, which was very disheartening, and it gave me a lot of insight as a patient, but I also saw my own specialist. And I also have a long-term disability policy, which I'll talk about more at a later date. And I'm currently in a 180 days appeals process with them, and that has been quite an experience as well. But one thing my disability attorney's assistant recently asked me was to send her a list of all of the medical providers that I have had. And I had to reach out to my former attorney to get that because I can't remember them all. And there were over 20 providers that I've seen. I remember being in Michigan, and between driving and going to appointments, it was more than a part-time job of a commitment. So I've had a lot of therapy. I've had a lot of doctor's appointments, a lot of chiropractor appointments, which I'll talk more about, because one person was like, oh my God, you see a chiropractor? And they're definitely not all created equal. Done a lot of physical therapy. I've tried a lot to get to where I'm at today. And I've been asking about CBD oil here in Grand Cayman. A friend of mine, he worked to get that here when his wife was going through a battle of cancer, which unfortunately she did not survive. And I've been asking about CBD oil from my specialist now for over 8 months now. So it's getting on close to a year. And I experience I'm good at sensing people, and I could feel kind of like a pushback in regards to that. Like there's a stigma, a negative stigma attached to using CBD oil. I asked my former pain specialist about trying that, because you get to a point where you're desperate for relief when you've done everything that you've been told to do and it hasn't worked to give you your quality of life back, and you're tired of being in daily chronic pain. And his response was, I can't help you with that. I've also had people along my journey tell me that you're just going to have to live with this for the rest of your life. And I'm not willing to do that. I have 2 little kids, and I want to be able to I don't want them to remember me by my pain. That's not the legacy that I want to leave behind for my children. So I ask, why is there a stigma? Why is it just a lack of understanding? Why is there a stigma for people taking CBD oil when there's other treatment options, including opioids, that lead to a high number of accidental deaths every single year it doesn't make any sense to me as a patient and as a doctor. It just doesn't make sense to have a stigma associated with a treatment modality that could possibly bring a better quality of life, better mental health. That just doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm at the point where I'm willing to share my journey with this to hopefully help to break that stigma. And if this can help me, then it can help others. And talking to my pain specialist yesterday, she made a point that CBD oil isn't a cure-all, but for some people it may be an option. And it would be irresponsible as a doctor to say, you know, this is going to cure everything. But hopefully for my journey with chronic pain, this is an option. And I would be very, very, very grateful if this helped give me my life back. I think that's all I'm going to share in this particular video. I am getting started really late today, but I'm going to take my 3rd dose of Cannimed, and again, it's the 1 to 20 mixture. And I took my 2nd dose yesterday, and it wasn't as hard to go down. I think I let it sit and absorb longer underneath my tongue. And I did it after I brushed my teeth, so I don't know if the toothpaste helped to minimize the taste, but it went down easier. So I'm going to take this, and then I'm going to go on with my day. Say hi, Caitlin.
Yum. Yum.
Hold on. You have to let it absorb underneath your tongue.
Huh?
Under
Uh-uh.
your tongue.
Uh-uh.
Under your tongue. It leaves like a, not tingly sensation, but I don't know, it's a different little sensation that it leaves on your mouth. But that was easier than yesterday afternoon at 4 o'clock. So I'm getting better at ingesting this stuff. So anyway, I will continue to share my journey, and I'll continue to give more insight into my journey and what I've experienced in hopes that it helps other people. So thanks for listening, and talk to you later. Bye.